Good morning, welcome. We'll call this work session together or in order with the pledge to the American flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Chairman Dickman,
Here.
Commissioner Karen,
Present.
Commissioner Anderson, Commissioner Jansen,
Here.
Commissioner Briggs.
Here. Thank you. We have an agenda for anyone visiting with us this morning. There are agendas. Are there any additions or what is your wish on that? All right, we don't make motions or anything like that. This is a work session, so this is, no decisions will be made. It's just decision or discussions this morning. Very good. We'll stick with the two agenda items. Then now we ask for public comments. These are, we'll have two public comment sessions. So this one is relegated just to agenda items. Other public comments? Hearing none, we'll move on. First, we're welcome Easton Laitala, one of our consulting accountants to this session for an update on the opioid funds. Easton.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to pass out this first sheet, which is the opiate funds expected payment schedule. They're at the bottom by calendar year. You can see the amounts that we're expecting. And at the top there, we have the expected and received payments as of year to date. So currently, with that payment schedule, you'll see at the top that we're expecting about 1.7 million in funds total to come through over the entire payment period. There was two notes to that the generic manufacturers and Purdue were separate settlements. So currently we have not received any payments from, don't have a payment expected schedule for when those payments are due at this point. I did put in an inquiry with the AG state. So hopefully that we could get some information to that, but we do have a general idea of when the next $1.5 million will be. And as well as on this sheet, we have a current accounting of the funds that we have in the GL and what we have expended thus far. So currently the drug court is utilizing the funds for drug testing and as well as some reimbursement for some initiatives for remediation through gift cards and stuff like that, which is completely within the acceptable uses of the opiate funds. What I do have a printout here that goes through all of the acceptable uses of the opiate fund. Totally, there's been like about expenditure of 70,000 since the funds have actually came into play. And really that's kind of in general, the current spending that the drug court is doing is what other counties are doing in the area as well. I'd encourage that spending continues, but really what needs to happen is the board needs to take ownership of these funds and delegate some sort of budget to the drug court. So that way we understand what's being spent and we can track it. Currently in the GL where the opiate funds are being held, there has been no expenditures out of there. So we actually need to show that those expenditures took place and realign those expenditures from their current GL codes to the opiate GL codes. So that way it's properly reflecting on the books and we can track the funds.
And is there a deadline that we should have that completed by?
That should be happening on an annual basis. I mean, so really we should have that in place by the end of this fiscal year. They're looking at the reporting online. You can see all the county data on expenditures from the opiate funds. It's tracked and there's actually a report that the AG has provided that is expected from us on a yearly basis. So currently it's showing that we haven't expended anything because we have not reported the expenditure to the state properly. So we need to report the expenditures year to date, and then we need to continually be utilizing that report on an annual basis. So I have all that information together and I'll share that with Chelsea and the administration team so that way that's something that they can track. But currently as it stands, there's a gap in the reporting to the state from the current expenditures because it has been reflected on the GL correctly. And as well as we need to actually take charge of these funds and come to some sort of budget or anticipated use for them. So that way you have clarity on exactly going forward from here.
That this is reported to the Michigan Department of Treasury, correct?
It's actually reported to the Attorney General.
To the Attorney General.
I'll say Attorney General. On this note as well, as of the end of June, my contract has expired. There's still obviously some work to do with these opiate funds, as well as there's a marijuana fund that I had begun looking into prior to the expiry of my contract. But most importantly and concerningly is the ARPA funds. So by December of this year, we need to have a full reporting of expenditure of the ARPA funds to the Treasury. I have this printed note right here from the Treasury that was sent out in March of 2025. And it kind of highlights what I'm going to talk about next. So I think there's been some misconceptions about the ARPA funds, where there was the thought that there was some monies remaining of the ARPA funds to be utilized. There is a gap of about 1.5 million on the general ledger showing from the ARPA funds we received to the ARPA funds that we have expended. About 500,000 of that we can wash with credits that have been taken out of those accounts, but really what it is at this point is all the ARPA money has been spent. There is no ARPA money remaining to be spent. And why that is by December of 2024, we had to share with the Treasury all the obligations that we have for those ARPA money. So we had to say all $7 million of it has been obligated to be spent in this way. And it's not just merely us telling the Treasury that we plan to utilize it this way. We have to have contracts in place prior to that deadline showing that we're going to spend that money that way. So we cannot spend any ARPA monies currently because we've already passed that deadline. And in the language of this letter too, you can see that there's some saying about how there's going to be a level of scrutiny regarding the reporting on these ARPA monies. So the concern is that we don't show that all the ARPA monies were expended properly to the Treasury by December of this year, then the Treasury can recoup those funds. The other issue as well is that with the obligations that were put into place, we were over obligated by about 320,000 according to the board minutes, and as well as obligations might not necessarily been regulation compliant because as said, you have to have a contract in place with the contractor or whatever entity you're working with prior to that December 2024. It can't just be we plan to spend $150,000 on this. So there's multiple gaps with the ARPA money and points for concern. So, and that's really my primary concern is ensuring that we're in as good of a place as we can be when it comes to time for reporting to the Treasury to ensure that we see little to no loss of those funds. I just also want to reiterate that any further spending that the board does is going to be from general monies. There's no ARPA funds that can be utilized for any other projects at this point.
Good. Other than having a budget developed for these for the receipt and expenditure thus far by the end of this fiscal year, which is what, the end of October or October 1st.
September 30th.
Yeah, okay, September 30th. Good enough. Other actions that we should be following up on specifically.
Yeah, putting in a budget in place with the opiate funds and just clarity with what the acceptable spending is. We need to ensure that all the spending is reflected properly on the GL, and we need to ensure it's reported to the state. And that's everything with the opiate funds. As far as further action items with the ARPA funds, obviously we still have quite a bit of internal work to do to account for all the expenditures, and as well as previously shared that there's that additional level of scrutiny with any purchases over $1 million. So for the Sharon Avenue property, there will need to be additional internal justification for that purchase, which I believe I'd sent you the requirements for that. So that as well needs to take place.
This and so I would presume that we need to make sure we have real clear channels of communication with district court. Are there any other departments affected by this?
No, that's the only one utilizing that opiate fund.
Questions for Easton? All right, and let's go back to the contract. You're out of contract. You
Correct.
Came in on your own prerogative to report this morning. This is July. Should we keep Easton around? Because we need to. Is there a need to collaborate with Easton on this topic? Because we also have to deal with the marijuana monies as well. Do you have a recommendation for us?
My recommendation would be to keep Easton for an additional month to help wrap up the ARPA fund reporting, as well as the opioid, the marijuana fund, and some additional items in administration.
If we have this on our agenda next week, is that quick enough for you, Easton?
Yeah, that'd be, I guess I would be looking for, I just want to ensure that there's enough time in the month if I'm being kept in a month to wrap up these items. So
Okay.
that'd be what, 2 working weeks?
Does this contract have to be a calendar month, or can we just say 4 weeks starting whenever?
Currently, it is weekly, but the discussion was it would go to calendar month. I mean, really, the contract, it's up to your guys' prerogative exactly how it's scheduled, so.
Well, I guess the best that we can do right now is to have it on the agenda for next, it'll be a week, on the 14th. It's a little later this month. But, are there any concerns about this that you want to express?
It's a good idea.
Go ahead.
No, I think it's a good idea to,
Yeah, every meeting I've been involved in with Chelsea and Easton, there's so much to dig into in these 2 files that someone specifically designated for it is really clarifying things. A little frustrating, but clarifying things.
Understand that.
Well, there's a lot, there's a lot of moving parts with this, and I know that they want to make sure that we have a better accounting for the revenues received, on sales too. All right. Anything further?
thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Move on to discuss the jail committee's efforts and support to see if we are going to have this on the ballot in November. We have the jail committee has been very busy, and we meet again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Today is Monday. You had a good weekend?
You're right, it is tomorrow. Okay.
No, we're no, sorry for so many meetings with that committee, but there's covered a lot of ground very quickly, and I know that Commissioner Jensen and myself are on that, as well as Dr. Morrison and quite a few others. So we appreciate all the time that's being spent on this. Faith, if I may call on you, we have a number of handouts here for the board. First one is the industry day draft details and logistics. Did you want to comment on anything? Want to pass these up?
Why don't we look at everything that I prepared? So in the jail committee, we at the special meeting late in June, the board authorized the planning and sketching out of an industry day, and the committee met shortly after that to do that sketching. So this first handout that says industry day draft details and logistics are as far as we got in sort of really making firm what would happen to get industry day in place. So just going over it super quickly, but obviously we can talk about any piece of it, but the actual basics of where it is, which is Franklin Township Hall, and when it is on the July 15th in the evening, 5 to 7. And then the next sort of urgent thing is to get people to come. So there's a paragraph on the activities that we saw that should happen so that we can get good participants. And then we brainstormed what should the participants receive ahead of time. And those are listed in A through F. And the idea is to get those up on the jail committee's website. And then more just thoughts about what should be discussed and part of the discussion in the industry day. there's a section on the deliverables that are expected for them, and then the last page of this handout is a draft meeting notice that could be published in the Daily Miami Gazette. We envision Industry Day being a meeting of the jail committee. So we'll pull together an agenda that will look like a meeting of the jail committee, but with the purpose being the ones that I said are outlined in the beginning of that handout. So
If I could make a comment, sorry to interrupt, but on that note, with that type of meeting taking place, we want to make sure that we are compliant by allowing all commissioners to attend that meeting. Would not be a board meeting, but to be part of the audience if you're available. Is that?
yeah, I'd love that to happen. I wonder if that's in compliance with the Open Meeting Act.
So if it's gonna be a jail meeting, then
Jail
because,
committee.
yeah, so then that'll have to get changed on here, on your meeting notice. Because it says Board of Commissioners,
Oh, that's a good point.
okay?
Yep.
So you'd want to make sure you change that. Then Faith could do the minutes since I have early voting center public accuracy testing that day. So I will get somebody or her in at 4:00, but if you do it as a commissioner, then Faith can't do the minutes because she's not a county employee.
And we
So
would,
jail committee, she can do,
yes, and we would prefer to run it as a committee meeting
okay.
Yeah.
Yep, so if that
If
gets
that-
changed, then I think you're okay.
with the board of commissioners approval. That we,
Correct.
that the committee could operate that way. Which,
And is there any concern with that? Oh, more than 3 commissioners being present? It's public and it's notified to the public that it's open to everybody.
Well, I would think that at that meeting, no decisions are being made. We're just making any decisions made at that meeting would only be recommendations to this
Correct.
board to decide upon. So it's,
yeah, as long as we behave ourselves at the meeting, but it's also imperative that we post this announcement in the correct
Yeah.
fashion.
We also had 5 commissioners present at a lot of treatment court graduations. We're all in the same room together and at a function and. I mean,
So it can be done. We just need to make sure we follow proper protocol. Yep. Thanks for pointing that out on the notice, Madam Clerk.
Yeah. So in fact, none of these documents are to be received as final versions. In fact, this bringing these things to the board during the work session was something that we talked about at the board meeting, special meeting at the end of June when this was authorized. And as is noted, that this is a really accelerated timeline. So we pulled these things together and now thankfully we have this work session where the board can give more input. There's no need to have a vote to give input. So that's, all of these documents need your eyes on them so that they reflecting what you hope also to have from this industry day.
Next, I'm passing out the draft agenda for this proposed committee meeting.
So this one does say it's the jail committee meeting, so I basically got it right.
If there are extra copies at the end of the line here, if we could make those available in public.
So it's a boilerplate meeting. At the last meeting of the jail committee, it was agreed that we should get a version for online attendance, and Alex has agreed to try to make that happen in Franklin Township Hall. So that's not yet on this agenda, obviously. And then it has just the outline of our usual agenda, and then only one set of activities, which are the industry day events, which are really very rough. But the charge that is there as a draft charge is to produce an ROM. ROM is a rough order of magnitude cost for building a jail at the Sharon Avenue property that has space for no fewer than 60 inmates up to 70, and that contains working spaces sufficient in size for serving that number of inmates. And so then we also hope to hear about the topic that was brought to us by the Moyle Corporation folks, which is design build, a path that we could pursue. And we're not experts on that, but this is another way that we're tapping our local expertise to help us understand how that could work. And then we would talk about the working spaces. So one of the handouts, this is color one, Chairman, that has the summary as far as we have. As far as we know, this came from information that was in the Abon-Marsh-Bice report. And so this is one of the materials that will be on the website for all Industry Day participants so that they can take a look at the sizes and benefit from the information that was collected by Abon-Marsh-Bice. And then also a specific discussion on Industry Day will be the working spaces in the jail. And I didn't bring copies of them, but one of the handouts for that portion of the discussion, it will be available on the website, which are the 5 scenarios that our jail captain, Travis Facilier, made that show the challenges of conducting the county business in the jail in the spaces that we have now. It's really a ballet of people walking past each other and squeezing into tight spaces. It's that bad. And Travis wrote these 5 scenarios in his work with us on the subcommittee, the jail subcommittee on needs. And I think that they will be very useful for the industry folks to see so that they understand the usability issues that come into our need for a new jail. And then that's related to item 4 as well. So really this rough order of magnitude charge to the contractors is for them to get a feel for how big this jail has to be and how it could be built, since they had expressed that they could do it for less than 32 million that was asked for the last time. And then the last 2 handouts, last night actually, so almost nobody has seen this. I wrote up this Industry Day handout to try to, again, this to be handed out to the participants, to go a little bit through the history of our attempts to get a new jail and the kind of reactions that the voters have had since 2000. And the charge to the contractors is to rough order of magnitude cost a new jail, but it has to be at a price that the voters of Houghton County can agree to support. And so it's helpful to know some background of what kind of things the voters of Houghton County have not supported and with what level of emphasis in the last 4 elections. So this is a document you won't be able to speed read very well in the time here of this work session, but that's another document that I thought would be helpful for the participants. And this very last one is you've maybe seen before what you'll get from a yes vote on the jail millage. Again, in the jail committee, we landed on so if there's to be a millage in November, the millage language has to be decided upon pretty darn quick. And we landed on suggesting to the county board that millage should express in its actual words some commitments to the voter of what they'll get from a yes vote. So this long list is obviously not going to be the millage language, but this was during the jail meeting, we quickly, off the top of our heads, having looked at things together for quite a few months, of all the promises in some sense that we want to make to the public. So that's a resource for the county board in that ultimate task, which is writing millage language, if you so choose, writing millage language for jail millage for November, which has to be done very soon. And so just one final thing is that the Industry Day is a week from Wednesday. They'll be given a deadline, the participants of the end of the month, July 29th, to get that ROM to the board. And then the board would have between July 29th and at the last second that this millage can be filed by the county clerk is August 11th, 4 p.m. But you have to do whatever other behind the scenes paperwork. So the suggestion is that there be a special meeting on the 6th or 7th or whatever is your pleasure to actually get that formal vote going so that the paperwork can be in time and that deadline can be met.
Thank you, Faith.
Faith, excuse me, Faith.
Yeah.
So all the attachments that you emailed the jail committee, including myself, you're wanting those to go onto the website.
So
Is Alex helping you to set up an industry day section? I can put one thing under like the,
your packet would be.
right, but I don't know how to do a group like how Chelsea does. Not-
Well, so that's something that I hope we can work out together. If necessary, there could be a separate, I imagine there could be a sub-page. And there could just be a link in that spot, and there would be, and that way we could add additional things that suddenly seem important for the participants to have. So I would leave that to the IT folks, but if at the end of this work session and the input that is given to the jail committee through this work session, we're gonna start moving. We're gonna start putting an ad in the Gazette, working with IT and yourself to get it all posted, and we'll get it done. So the suggestion is that it be there, the specifics, whatever works.
Remind me on the timeline for the ad in the paper. What, I know we discussed that, but
We discussed getting that information.
but as far as a date.
We said to do it as soon as possible,
Yeah.
but it seemed prudent not to do it until the board could at least meet in work session about it.
So this ad would be going in the paper, we're speaking hypothetically here, prior to our board meeting. July.
Right.
And there's definitely a little bit of a delay getting them to run things right now. Like my notices, usually I thought it could go the next day. It was actually 3 days. It made a difference for me.
Yeah, the language is on the last page of that industry day draft details, so. If it's authorized to put it in the paper, we could walk over after this meeting and put it in the paper. Might take 3 days, though, it sounds like.
Yeah, because we're talking about this occurring in just a little more than a week.
Yep.
From now, so and I realize we can't make any decisions here, but I think it's probably within the executive realm to go ahead and get that inserted in the Gazette, unless there's some strong sentiments otherwise.
The vote you took on at the end of June authorized the jail committee to organize this meeting. I'm
Correct.
presuming that under that authority, which was board voted,
Just
we could get
just reminding folks because you will open the Gazette in the near future and see that ad, and none of us care for surprises. All right. Well, very good. Do you have some input or some thoughts about this? Some suggestions or concerns about the direction that the jail committee is developing? We hope to get strong participation. We've had contractors involved in this overall process, as far as in the meeting attendance. And we've had inquiries, direct response from Moyle Development. We've had inquiries from Gunlock Champion. I know we've had other contractors attending the meetings. So I think that it's a pretty well-rounded approach thus far. Of course, the key is to have attendance, at the actual industry day over at Franklin Township. We have reason to be, remain optimistic for that. Besides the Gazette that we would have this posted on the website. So,
And a proper jail meeting posting, I'll do that as well.
mhm,
So we're covered every which way.
that's right.
Just need the teams from
And-
Alex when he said
And
that.
this, and, the message to remember is this is not exclusive. This is open to all interested parties, contractors, developers. So, we obviously love our people right here in Houghton County, but we're not, we don't want to be accused overly much of nepotism here. So if that's the correct term. Any objections to carrying through the way that the committee is proposed, or are we off the rails? You want to guide us here? Any thoughts?
No, I've been following Faith's information and the email, which I appreciate. But I think you're right on track where you're going.
I like it. You know, Gretchen's had input, at meetings. I've had input, and Sheriff, obviously, it's been a strong advocate for it. Any comments from the sheriff or our building inspector at all, or?
No, I appreciate the board being there. I think, members of the board, obviously finance, building inspector, local developers, contractors. This is, really the first time we'll really have an alluvial plain of knowledge available to us. And I think it's going to be, I'm hoping it's productive and I'm looking forward to it.
Perfect. Yeah. Anything from you, Todd? Anything? How do you feel about this approach?
I think the committee's right on track with the approach and checking out all avenues of different directions to go with this. And Dr. Morrison, they're tracking things and setting up the email, just wonderful.
Great. Now, we also have Andrea here from Treatment Court, who's been just jumped right straight into this committee, and you're armpit deep. You're not hip deep. You're armpit deep. Anything you care to share for the group as far as your observations, your perspectives?
Yeah, I think that this is a very good plan going forward. But I'm excited to see how the industry day turns out. I also want to let the committee know that the community corrections funding is in the budget, in the state budget. And so the work that we've been doing to get on board the Marquette Community Corrections program, that should be able to get started in the next fiscal year.
Thanks for pointing that out. They were busy this past few days down the line, saying, but that is included.
So I think that could definitely have a significant impact on how our jail is utilized in the future. Don't want to be overly optimistic, but cautiously optimistic. But I think that it'll definitely help just provide a more efficient and effective use of resources, and good taxpayers more better results for their money.
Thank you. And Alex, you've been an integral part of this, so you're getting it out there on the World Wide Web.
Yeah, quick question about that. So it sounds like we have interest to put this on the Houghton County's website, perhaps under its own tab. We already have jail project tabs. Is this one that we would put there, or do we want this to be plain, easy, and accessible and up in front, kind of like our board of commissioners tab? That is also in our directory, but
I'm sure others will weigh in. Myself, I'd like to make it very prominent, simply because of the short time period that we have here. Because that there's such a if this was printed and bound, I think we'd have a small library for the jail section itself. That's why in the handouts that we received this morning, just that brief history write-up is quite, I think it behooves all of us to study that again, because we'll recognize most of that, but reminds us of a lot of good stuff. But I don't know, other thoughts for Alex? Yes.
I think you need to blast it all over the main page.
And sure.
Have just
Industry
a
Day.
page where you can go right to this industry day. Have the attachments that Faith gave out. We'll have can attach the meeting notice there. I'll still have it on its own page.
Because currently we do have a 2026 meeting project tab. You want this to be, we'll do some redundancy there, but we can have, 2026.
We have so many different jail things. It's difficult to know which one to go to. So I think if you have it right on the main page, just for this one meeting,
Sure.
I think it's gonna help everyone, the public, to be able to see it.
Right.
That was
My opinion.
No, I agree, as opposed to clicking on the jail
There's so many
in
of them.
general, and then finding a folder for industry day. Let's have it right.
at least in the short term, and then we can swap it back,
Correct.
perhaps after the village.
No, then you
Please
put it
do.
under the jail
Yeah.
committee or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Great.
And then I heard talk of a Teams meeting. This thing is going to be broadcast or recorded in some capacity, or
Yeah, that's what you're doing.
understandable. Do we have cameras and such? in the-
If you would like, I could meet you up at Franklin,
Yes,
and so I can get you in, let you see what they have, what they don't.
Yeah,
You let me know when.
and chances are we're gonna have to transport whatever is reasonable for hardware ourselves, because I know in the past, they have good internet and everything, but they've been operating off a laptop for, so as I recall. Has that changed at all with the PAC meetings? Okay. Good. Well, very good. Any further thoughts, comments, on the jail and industry day?
I wonder if the board could comment on, I mean, the idea is to receive this ROM, this rough order of magnitude number. And anything that's in your mind that you would need to receive from the participating contractors, we have to make sure we put it in the document somewhere. So whether it's now or whether it's later, if you look through the documents and you think, what exactly are you asking for? Have you asked for this, asked for that? Please send it to the jail committee, because we'll ask for it, because the ultimate goal of this is the deliberations that the board have to do in order to come to language for a jail millage, if that's what they wish.
And I would also, thanks for pointing that out, but also I would ask for some of our other resource folks to weigh in as well. Andrea, Todd, if you, as you review these things, I would expect that we'll have some further thoughts on this. So there's an opportunity for us to enhance the ROM package, or that will be,
The jail committee will be meeting tomorrow at 4.
yeah.
So that's a great time. I mean, I know everything's on a really tight, fast schedule, but that's a great time because we'll be together.
Yes.
And
What's your schedule like, Todd, for tomorrow? Is there any chance you could attend tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Further thoughts? Then I guess we'll move on to public comments on any topic, public comments. Yeah.
I don't think I could have jumped in that previously, but in one of our emails back and forth with the jail committee, Justin has shared a document and he used the language of the Justice Center, like Fulton County Justice Center. I just want to throw out as an idea, maybe instead of referring to this as a jail millage, we start talk about the Justice Center, that could possibly bring more people to the table, get more people on board, and be more open-minded discussions about what this building actually is going to do for our community. It's not just jail beds, it's the full sheriff's office, all the functions that go on within that department. It'll have the arrangement for emergency management. There's just a lot more to the building besides just jail beds. Just food for thought.
It is good food for thought, and I think that even if, as you review what you will get with a yes vote, kind of broadens the parameters of beyond the scope of just a simple jail. If there is such a thing as a simple jail these days, but
There is, it's right there.
yeah, that's pretty simple. You're right about that. But keep that thought in mind if I don't know what, we've been there before with the Justice Center. What do you think there, retired under sheriff?
As far as what?
How do you feel is the term Justice Center, is that more palatable or to the general public? And what's your gut feeling?
As I've said, in the past, I'm getting on 30 years of pursuing this thing
Yeah,
and going back to just the jail and sheriff's office. Then we went into the Justice Center, and we thought that was going to be the pill everybody would take. That we're combining everything, we're making it modern, we're using modern terminology, and it still failed. I really don't know what's going to take to get the public to support this. The efforts that going in this time to answer every question from the last vote. It's until we actually get to a point where the county can afford to put a courthouse and jail together. I think it's just pursuing the sheriff's office jail is probably the best way to go in my mind at this point.
okay.
And I don't feel the Justice Center, when we went out in 2000 to Douglas County, Colorado, to look at, we went to developing jails. The National Criminal Justice Center paid 100% for us to go to a sheriff, myself, one of the sergeants, one of the commissioners, and one of the consultants paid their own way to go. And we were out there for a week, and Douglas County had a beautiful facility, and it was the courts. You walked in, and it was just what we dreamed of. You walked in, you went to the sheriff's office to the left, you went to the court system on the right, and that's what we envisioned. Everybody came back with, this is great. But until you can afford to do something like that, I don't know. I think just pursuing the sheriff's office with the jail and, and this here, your list of what you get, spells it out. You're getting safety for everybody involved. That's, to me, that's the highlight of it. It's not just the inmates, it's the staff, it's the public attending, entering the building. Everybody that's working there, it's needs a safe environment. And I think this spells it out pretty well.
Other thoughts?
Not really, I guess.
How do you feel, Joe? Would you call it a Justice Center or stick with the jail, sheriff's office?
I really don't think people,
Does it make a difference?
I don't think so. I mean, I think people, the
Either
concept of it, I think it's semantics.
potato, potato.
I think so, but I mean, I think the one thing if we, maybe it goes with that, but I mean, I think people I've heard from too is, the mental health aspect of it. How can we, I'm not saying call it that, but I mean, that's part of what people have, how are we addressing that in this? Are we, so I think it kind of goes with it, but we can't call it the Fulton County, mental health center or the, whatever.
Okay.
But I think
Yeah.
that, what are we getting? Like Roy said, the list here, I mean, I don't think it's make or break,
whatever the vote, as long as they're supportive of it, you can call it what they want, like the jail or justice center. All right,
Is there any interest perhaps in asking the public? We can just toss a quick survey. Would you rather vote for a jail or rather vote for a, what are we calling this,
Justice Center.
justice center?
well, Rick,
It could be, sheriff's office and correctional center. You know, the jail is a harsh word, and I think that's has some negativity to it for correctional center, you know, the sheriff's office, correctional center.
Since we are addressing voting public and trying to get their feedback, we could ask the folks that come to our website whether, what term is more palatable. It will slow down the process.
Yeah, I think the main point of this whole conversation, from my perspective, is, whether it's named the sheriff's office, the jail, justice center. Really, I want to, if we do any type of public polling, I want the public to know exactly what they're getting from their tax dollars from our office. And showcase the things that we do as a sheriff's office, not just maintain the safety and security of inmates, but everything from arresting and getting murderers prosecuted down to coming and opening your car at no additional cost. So, if we do some kind of poll, I want to make sure that we're showing the public what they're getting. And this is what we do on a day-to-day basis right now. Not just running jail. I mean, we have so many divisions, civil justice.
Yeah.
Field services, marine, snowmobile, ATV, detective divisions. Office of Emergency Measures operates in our building.
Yeah.
I would say it's brought millions of dollars into this county probably after disasters, and he's operated in subpar conditions and has accomplished that task. But this is what we're, this is what we're paying for, the whole shebang, for lack of better terms.
actually, I think that needs to be expanded on because, we think of the sheriff's department just running the jail, which is totally, like you said, it's just one piece of the pie. But so by having a better facility for their sheriff's department to operate out of, is good. So lends more, in the direction of the overall justice center, concept, but, going for
Public safety.
public safety, public safety, public safety. Yeah. All good thoughts. Well, we're still in public comment.
But I could add, Faith Morrison from Hancock. I could add that, the community corrections program that Andrea mentioned that you're familiar with, and which is an amazing, piece of, I don't even know what to call it. It's a change, it's a transformational amount of services that are coming to Holton County that will transform how the judges, the prosecutor, and the sheriff's office will interact with the public, including the mental health piece that Commissioner Karen talked about, including addiction, addressing addiction issue services, and the sort of revolving door at the jail, the repeat offenders that take up a large portion of the activities of our sheriff's office. We definitely, when we talk about the millage, should there be one, we need to be explaining to the public, because this has come out very quickly also, this Marquette Community Corrections business, and then it was under a little bit of a cloud when it might have been cut from the budget. But now that it's going to be funded, this is at no cost to us, except Commissioner Britz's time going to the board meetings, which is much appreciated. That is going to be really transformational to how our jail can operate. And in the jail that we have now, it's simply insufficient for really taking advantage of that and doing best by the citizens of Holton County that pass through this sort of area of need. So that's something that definitely has to be part of the campaign for building a new jail.
That's correct.
Who's on the speaker here? Who's online? Cause
I think it's Jake.
I don't know,
Jake
almost not
and Dirk.
Jake. It's Jennifer and I.
Oh, no, he's muted.
Oh, there was somebody.
Somebody is language on there. Yes.
You,
See muting things.
are we, not muted? Have we muted yet? One of those attendees?
The offices.
Take that.
Morning, everyone.
Well, I don't know what's going on with this, but anyway, any other public comments?
Graham with the Gazette. Basically been covering this since 2015. And recently as the plan and the concept has evolved, Sheriff Sarnon and I have discussed a number of times all that this facility is going to house, the 911 hub, Fulton County emergency measures, all of the things that were listed, snowmobile trail, all of the search and rescue. The Fulton City Police are talking about relocating their offices here. Would it be more saleable to rebrand this as something akin to the Fulton County Public Safety Administration offices? Just a thought.
Lots of different ideas out there. Other public comments? Well, hearing none, we'll move on to announcements. There's you want to comment on that, Chelsea?
The IRS is holding a public auction on the fifth floor of the courthouse on July 22nd. Starting time is 10 a.m. with registration at 9:30 a.m. There is more information located on the Fulton County website, and it will direct you to the irsauctions.gov for additional details on what properties are being auctioned for sale.
Yeah, then there's printouts available here. Any other announcements? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Very good. Thank you very much for attending.
Thank you.